Did he miss something?
Nope.
Nope.
Saying that you've had some folks come in that came in the door with a walker or a cane, and we've had that happen here with Roland when he first came. He was on a cane, and then within 6 months or whatever, he would, he forgot the cane one day and then realized he didn't need it.
Yes, yeah, and that's during that stint where I worked with the adult education folks at Palm Beach County. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we would every 8-week session we would get a fresh load of folks, and a lot of them were referred by their surgeons or doctors and told them, hey, listen, get out there and go do some Tai Chi. And they'd come in all hunched over and not be able to walk and need a walker or a chair. And it's amazing the physical improvements that we've seen. And my wife Denise is a nurse, so she's always very cautious about, oh no, you can't promise people that they'll feel better. But if you just look at the folks that come through, and there are some people that want to own pain or want to own their suffering. And you know what, the people that are at that stage in life, I hope they come back when they're ready to to do the change or feel the change. But I spoke from personal experience. When I say I was hurt, I would have to roll out of bed onto the floor and then get onto my knees using the bed and then help myself stand up from the bed. And so when I started the Tai Chi, I was determined to use it as a rehabilitative tool. And it did work. And as a result of that work and that, focus, I had started to feel a little bit of the energetic or the internal. But it wasn't until, meeting Sifu Clear that I was able to turn it on and off, and to categorize it, to put it within the framework of what I understood, to try to show it to people, teach it to others, and to move forward with it.
Cool.
So yeah, that was why I had gotten into it with my injuries, and then again, it's been amazing to help so many people down here. And Florida, there are a lot of retired folks down this way, so we do get to see that a lot and to help people through that.
Yep. Giving anybody that wants to ask you anything about any of that a chance to ask. That would be a good time if you've got anything like that. Because then we're going to switch focus or scope for the next.
I have a question for Jim.
Grilling questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jim, you have a variety of people that are coming into your school. Are you marketing to anyone specific? Or is it just like, if you show up, you show up?
No, you know what? My marketing has been word of mouth, and we do a lot on Facebook. A lot of the people that come to us do see us on there. I also show up. There are a number of Tai Chi schools down here in Boca Raton, but if you Google Tai Chi in Boca Raton, Florida, I think we're one of the first ones that come up. I just to let everybody know, I mean, I am blessed. I have another career. I have, my wife has another career, and we do this more to help other people than as a livelihood. And so that aspect of the advertising, we tend to go by the philosophy that somebody is seeking help and they find us, we're grateful and we'll share what we can. So I am not a good marketing person. I've had a number of businesses throughout my life, but I don't, I'm not the type of person that's going to meet somebody at a party and within the last 2 minutes try to sell them a membership to to Tai Chi classes.
No, I just thought having your law enforcement background, you might have a lot of more people from law enforcement as opposed to senior citizens, that sort of thing.
Yeah, the difficult part is that the Tai Chi does take, it takes time to move from level to level. Like I said, the Lee level is great for everybody, but usually with guys that fight, or guys that have to fight, it's a lot of them don't have the time to make the investment. Where, you know, Tai Chi, I guess, even, I mean, Sifu Clear is one of the best programs I've ever seen with the Tai Chi fighting aspects. And I would still say, would you guys figure it's still about what, 3 years out to get comfortable with the water fighting or the ghost fighting? Or
there is a faster method, but it's immersion.
All right, but it does take time, and
otherwise it takes time. Yes.
Yeah. One of my biggest problems, and I'm sure a lot of men on this the video conference, is Tai Chi fighting is best at a total relaxed state or sung state, and just to get that used
to mind and body so that it truly is that while you're going to do the other thing, you know, which is usually very chaotic.
Yes,
is a chore just to get those two things going on at the same time. Yes, it's correct. It takes people a while, but like I say, the immersion will do it. They start off beating you, and then at some point you're just too relaxed to do anything else, and then hey, that Tai Chi's working pretty good now. But it's that point between the beginning and that point where the Tai Chi's working for you, that part kind of, you know, not so pleasant. But.
Yeah, no, it's true, and then you know, Tai, with the military, I'm sure you know they break you down and get you so tired from, you know, sleep deprivation and physical exertion that's another bridgeway that cuts off a lot of time. But especially here in Boca, people don't like to give up their creature comforts.
Cool. Okay. What is your favorite thing to study, learn, and why?
You know, everything is always, you know, changing. With what I found with my growth in the Tai Chi is, you know, it's constantly evolving, and it's like an onion. Every layer you peel back, there's something even better underneath, you know. And I mean, in the beginning, like I said, I started with the physical, the Lee stuff, and then, you know, that was great for me. I was so happy to be able to walk and carry on and lift and do everything like that. And then after doing that for a number of years, I remember getting into a physical confrontation with, you know, again, it was in a school setting. It was with a kid. It was with a football player, and that just a pung where I had my arm very soft, and he was pushing against me like I was a training dummy out on the field. and he couldn't understand, like the bewilderment in his eyes was like, you know, I should be moving you and you're pushing me backwards. How is this, you know, how is this happening? And so that was like a great, I started to feel some of the energetics, and then we got, you know, down to Tennessee and did one of the fighting workshops, and I really, really enjoyed the water fighting, and I said, oh, this is great. I love this. And then, as you know, working with Harry and working with a lot of other guys that, you know, doing a lot of the jings and the push hands. I've really enjoyed that. That's become one of my favorite things. So each layer, each time you get a little bit deeper into things, I hit a new fave.
Yeah. I'm probably very similar that way over the course of years.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing to teach and why?
Again, almost like I hate to use this answer as like almost like a cop out, but like I said, we teach on a big big scale. You know, some people come in just to be able to walk. Some people come in and they want more of the martial. Some people come in, they're working on balance. And my thing has always been with the teaching, I don't enjoy the specific areas as much as I enjoy teaching to like an aha moment where somebody, you're teaching somebody, you're teaching them, you're trying to get it across. And all of a sudden you see that light bulb go off, like, I got it. And I understand now why this, why that, how this, how that. And the pieces all start to, fall in together. So if it's a favorite, I like to teach to those aha moments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing to practice and why?
I think at this point, I love teaching practicing the push hands, because I'm at that stage now where I'm focusing the energies and learning the jings and learning how to avoid, the seizes and the regaining balance and dropping the root and all of these things that are coming at this stage. I also like doing the moving push hands and applying more of the martial applications to the Tai Chi.
Cool. Now, okay, and some more of yep. So the question I've got here is on push hands. Do you have a dedicated, clear internal push hands class?
We have I'm sorry, I didn't touch on that in the very beginning. You asked me about the school. We have two classes, one from 6:30 to 9:30. I'm sorry, 6:30 to 7:30, which is.
I was going to say that's a 3-hour class.
Yeah. Well, that's as long as I'm there. But 6:30 to 7:30 is the beginner class, and then 7:30 to 8:30 is the clear Tai Chi class or the more advanced class, and then from 8:30 to 9:30 we stay and push hands and work on some of the applications and that type of work. And then on the weekends there's a park close to me where we get together and do push hands or contact flow, and just to work on that martial aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I know you've attended the level 4, the 1 through 4 Fa Gong Qigong healing work programs, and then we'll have another one of those. We usually have those 2 times a year. This time we'll have done one 3 times this year, and then potentially in Boca there in February of next year.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Talk about your Fa Gong Qigong healing work.
I've done the Fa Gong level 1 and level 2, or the
1 through 4, and then the advanced. Yeah.
The advanced, yes, and I am amazed by by that aspect of the Tai Chi. And that was one of the biggest transitions. At a certain point in my life that I had used the martial arts, unfortunately, for the, I don't want to say hurting people, but the combatants end of it for so long that when you introduce the healing end of it, I was very intrigued, and I enjoy the energy. I enjoy, trying to help people, and I've helped people with, basic ailments and like migraine headaches. I find that the Fa Gong works great for people. Body aches and pains and soreness, and even things that, go down to the arthritic level. There's, you can feel relief, or people I've helped can feel the relief. With myself, I know I'm constantly trying to work on my knees and shoulders. So I do a lot of physical activity, physical labor, working with the, with the farm and with the animals and stuff. So that's all been an amazing thing for me. The Tui Na has also come easily, or I don't want to say easily, but naturally, I guess, because of the prior work with the other martial arts. You're always pulling something. And I've gotten good at manipulating and trying to work out muscles and all of that. So the Tui Na, I appreciate Chad's teaching and yours, of course. So that's been good getting into that. But I would prefer to get much more into the Fa Gong and into the healing. But sometimes with my occupation, it's you're expected to handle things in a certain way, and Fa Gong energy is not one. So I'm caught sort of kind of between two worlds a little bit.
Yeah. Well, just for what you can use as on the job there.
Yeah.
Yep. How many times have you had the Fa Gong training through the 1 through 4?
I've done 1 through 4, I think 4 times. This will either be the 4th or the 5th time up at Harry's in October.
Okay.
We're going up to New Jersey, and every time I do that training, it amazes me that you walk away with something, like I said before, one of those aha moments. That's repeating that class has been one of the best things that I've done.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard that fairly repeatedly from people on the Fa Gong 1 through 4, that for about the first 10 times, every time you leave, it's like, is that the same course I had last time? I got so much more out of that. And it keeps
yes.
So yeah.
What's amazing is I bet this will happen to you if this really is your 4th or 5th time. Right around there, normally people will come up to him at some point in the workshop and say, like, why don't you teach this in this workshop every time? And the answer is, I do.
You do. Yeah.
No, you just missed it the first few.
Yeah. Well, there's so much information, and I love the phrase that was coined somewhere along the line. It's like trying to sip water from a fire hydrant.
Part of it is that in that 1 through 4, I'm really trying to get you to the point where you have a working ability. And so it's taking somebody, and the course is designed so if somebody comes in and don't have anything, that's where we're starting with them at. And from there to a working ability. And so it's kind of like any other activity, riding a bike or driving a car or whatever it is. You know, it's just, you don't know how to drive right now. We're trying to get you driving. Now that you can drive, now let's make it that you're not running through the stop signs trying to figure out where the brake is, and that you're comfortable with where your mirrors are and what you can see, and that you can stay inside the lines, and that you can all sorts of, and that you can drive, you know, defensive driving and more tactical driving, and more complicated driving, whether that be something like a stick shift or some kind of a different vehicle, or and so there's all these other things, and you could be doing that for a while, and then somebody could say, well, do you do this? And be like, what? You know, because you were driving the car, but you didn't realize what other things maybe went into it, or what would make you a better driver. And so it's getting people from that not doing anything to basic being able to do the whole thing in a working kind of a way. The course is very geared for that. And so what happens is there's all these gyms in there that once you can drive that car or do the fog healing, then you start to pick up on what a bunch of those other gyms are. It's not the only thing that's happening there, because it's also your sensitivity goes from wherever it was at, which is usually a good bit less than where you actually are when you start. Each time you have it, that takes an increase, at least for a while, and then your spectrum on that doesn't just get bigger, it also broadens, and you begin to perceive a lot more and a lot quicker and a lot more detail and all of that. And the more of that happens, of course, the more it has that effect that we're talking about.
Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah. What are the top 3 most memorable Tai Chi moments in your life?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to try to keep this R-rated, right? Well, it's funny. The working. I'm still active in law enforcement, and one of the stories that comes up is always it's a good chuckle. But a lot of the new drugs down here that we're seeing tend to create psychological or relapses or faults or breaks, and it seems like when a lot of people get high on some of these things, they all like to take off their clothes and run around. so they,
I'm free.
Yeah. No, I remember calling Sifu up one time, and I was trying to get into that, get into somebody else's thoughts and mind, and I called him up and I said, well, I was standing in front of this guy, and I was trying to get into his head or inside of him, and I couldn't get a grasp on it, and I went on to tell him how the guy had taken some psychedelic drug, and he was absolutely out of his mind. He was running around the backyard of a house looking for his pet goldfish that got out of his goldfish tank, and they were running around the lawn, and it's like so that was one of them. I wound up chasing him down and squared off with him a couple of times and exchanged some blows, and on the last one he ran from me and jumped into a drainage canal. And down in Florida here, not only are there alligators, but there's all kinds of germs and parasites and things floating around in the canals. And so I had used better judgment and jumped in the police car and drove around to the other side of the canal and picked him up, and he wound up jumping into a police car and trying to drive off with somebody else's police car, and I had reached into that, and I used another Tai Chi technique, which I think Logan had taught at the family gathering a year or two later, where it's actually a displacement where nobody else could get him out of the car, but I reached in, and it was almost as if I reached my energy around to the passenger side of the car and just popped them out. And the other guys were standing there looking at me saying, wow, how'd you do that? And then,
you said ancient Chinese secret.
Yeah.
yeah. But, and then I wrestled him to the ground, and, you know, we wound up ground fighting, but again, with a lot of the same principles as the Tai Chi. And I remember when I squared off with him the first time and I looked at him, he was my size, about 6'3", 6'4", and he had like one of those like 20-something-year-old bodies with 0% body fat. And,
yeah,
you know, he stripped down naked, and you could see it wasn't a 6-pack. It was like a 24-pack.
Oh my.
I was like, oh, this isn't going to end well. But after, you know, I got him on the floor and got him subdued, and it took like, the paramedics needed to inject him 2 or 3 times with the tranquilizers. And just as he was going out, he looked up at me, and he turned to the other guys there, and he said, you mean it was this old man that got me? I said that was a favorite Tai Chi moment.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Of all the blows you threw at me, that one hurt the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so that was one. And then I remember another phone call I made to Sifu was the opening in, you know, placing hands on jade table, or turning the prayer wheel, or there's a couple of different names for it, rise and fall, or somebody told me emperor unfurls carpet or something. I never, as a martial person, I always looked at that movement and said, you know, I'm not really sure that should be the first movement in so many of these forms. You know, what's the practicality? Yeah. And then one day I was called, and somebody was destroying a house, and they were, I mean, totally demolished it. I got there, and the living room couch was outside, the stove was outside, and all the windows were busted, and we went in to search the house, my partner and I, and couldn't find the guy. And we walked out the back door, and we're looking around and saying, where the hell did this guy go? And then all of a sudden I looked up about 5-6 foot off the ground, and in a mango tree, there was this guy sitting there hiding behind a leaf, and he was holding a twig with a leaf. Like,
it was working at first.
Like, you can't see me. Yeah, yes, yeah, it was. So I remember talking to him and trying to talk him down, and you know, you realize that these people are not themselves, and so you don't want to hurt them. But at one point, as I was talking to him in the tree, discussing his civil rights and how the tree house was his home, and I didn't have the right to search it, and as I'm talking to him, I noticed one of my hands was by his right wrist, and the other hand was by his right ankle. And the way he was sitting, straddling the limb on the mango tree, I had to actually lift him up and pull him back to get him out of the tree. And it all happened in one fluid motion. and I had him out of the tree on the ground, and he was like, hey, what just happened? I said, gee, that was a great use for that movement that I'd never, ever would have anticipated. But,
very specific application. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I got to try it on Matt too once. I was shocked at that one.
The ground one, right?
What? Yeah, the ground. Yeah.
That's really heavy on the ground.
Yeah.
Out.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
Jim's police training took over, and he did rise and fall, and then literally fell bodily behind that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting, but yeah, the Tai Chi has, had a lot a lot of applications with the police work. And like I said, at one time I also worked in they called it a transition school for kids when they got out of jail for, heavy duty charges, the rape and, the attempted murders and all of that. And working at that school with those kids, they tried you to establish who you were or what they could get away with and what they couldn't. And I had a couple of incidents with them, and I remember using the Tai Chi energy a couple of times and like laying them out and trying to immobilize them, and then it got to the point though where I noticed they were very respectful and very nice. and then when I wasn't around, or when they thought I wasn't listening, I heard them. They had given me a nickname, and I laughed when I heard it because I guess in Spanish the translation they call me La Bruja, which is a witch, and that was I guess they got the gender part wrong. If Sheila can, that's a feminine description, but I got a chuckle out of it anyway, though. So we reached an understanding.
That's okay. There's a new show out now called The Witcher.
Oh yeah.
And that guy's pretty masculine, so
okay.
I wouldn't worry about it too much.
All right, thank you. Yeah, but that's.
I know you've got Tai Chi stories that are memorable because they were like practical applications of the stuff in real life, and obviously a couple of them especially memorable because of the involvement of like naked guys. I can see why that would stand out. But is there a moment or a training or something that stands out to you that's really memorable because it was like really impressive, or because you had like a big aha moment, something like that?
Yeah, like I said, there's always a lot of like little things. Like I remember getting the principle of sung, working on that, and I remember being at training and having guys haul off with serious shots, and being in the street and having somebody actually take a swing and getting hit, and with that, with the song and with the dropping root, and if you have things turned on, it's like it doesn't phase you, which it's that was like a big. When I first started feeling that, I said, "Oh wow, that's a life-saving realization right there." Oh
yeah.
So the other things that have come along, the balance that is inherent to the Tai Chi, because you're not overreaching, you're not overextending. Just having somebody turn around and throw a kick or a punch and watching them fall over because your balance was better and and they just didn't have what they needed to have. So it's a lot of that stuff is interesting when it happens.
Cool. So I've got here goals. What kind of goals do you have, and like a 2 to 5 year goal?
Hey,
and then long-term goals. So.
This has been. I know there are a lot of motivational speakers and people out there that always pressure you that you should have goals and you should have objectives, and all through my Tai Chi, it's just been. You guys have a great program, and there's always something coming up to challenge and to broaden and to lead, to the next level. And that's basically been, what I've done for, for most of the martial arts and the Tai Chi career is to move on. So my goal is to just keep on learning and to keep on teaching, teaching as much of this stuff so that it doesn't get lost. I think there's so much of the Tai Chi that's considered inside knowledge or held very close. And I feel that as much of that as we can get out, that, lets people help themselves and feel better, that's a better solution to it. And I appreciate, Zhigang Clear and everything that he does teach everything in a very open venue, so it's a very transparent. So that's nice. I know you had mentioned the goals. The long-term goal is, of course, to be able to retire like Art and go at this full steam ahead, to try to learn, again, as much as I can. And that the Tai Chi Barn project is, has been something that I hope I'll be able to throw a lot of effort in after I retire. So
that's on Lake Okeechobee.
It's about a mile and a half away from the lake itself. So it's very close. And that's, it's in a nice laid back setting, about 6 acres of land, and it's a very peaceful place.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. I think we've hit what I had for questions. If there's any other questions that I didn't get to, or any other things you guys think would be useful, ask away.
Any stories Jim has to tell that you can prod him into getting out publicly?
Funny part is Jim doesn't talk a lot about Jim, so this has been a stretch.
There's another extra good reason to go visit Jim in Boca. You have one of the best steakhouses there, the New York Yankee Steakhouse.
Yes. Yeah.
So make Jim take you there when you train with him.
Yes, the slabs of bacon, great for you.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing bacon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if a lot of other restaurants, if somebody that owned it went there and tried that, they would be serving that a lot more places.
Yes, good stuff.
Cool. Well, we've got the fog gung that'll come up at Harry's, and then the one here for the rest of 2022, and then every year, the first full weekend in June, we're doing the Clear Tai Chi Family Gathering, and that's at taichigathering.com to find out the information for the next one.
We have already secured Jim Kelly to be there, and many of the other regional organizers that you see on these calls and here on these podcasts. They're going to be there presenting their own unique topics, and it's different every year. So they're a lot of the same people, but a lot of different themes, and different people from outside our system. We've already reached out to a couple of people that should have really interesting stuff to share with us, that are doing kind of a lot of things in common, but have a little different approach, a little different insight. And so it's a very inclusive event. It's a lot of fun. It was actually a blast this year, despite some pretty interesting circumstances. And so we are really, really, really looking forward to what it's going to turn into in 2023. With all our ducks in a row and with even more people like you. And so for that to happen, you need to go check out taichigathering.com and plan accordingly, and be there. It's gonna be great.
Cool. All right, guys, lady. We'll stay on after the call here for a few minutes, and otherwise, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you, Jim. Good session.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for being a good sport about the mango tree stuff.
Well, I knew that was going to come up.